Hey everybody, I am at work currently. It is like 1 o'clock in the morning. I know that everybody is asleep and in their beds or whatever. I am actually headed to the ER to go and see about a case possibly that needs my input and opinion. But anyway, when I tell you guys that everything has been happening from the left to the right, and the enemy does not want me to say what I've been wanting to say and trying to say, and things have been coming. That's why I say people see a smile on your face and they think that your life is perfect or whatever. But I catch it too. You know, my life is not perfect. We go through it too. But I know the God I serve. And I know he got me. Even when it's hard and it's rough, I know he got me. But anyway, look, I have been wanting to talk to y'all about Athaliah. Athaliah can be found in 2 Kings, and she can also be found in the book of Chronicles. Okay, now, Athaliah is the daughter of Jezebel. The infamous Jezebel. Jezebel and Ahab. Okay, so we know that Jezebel and Ahab, were ruthless rulers. They, led Baal worship. They were against God. Jezebel, was killing God's prophets, killing off of his people, anybody who worshiped God. She was all for Baal worship, having... and it reminds me, this is why you got to be careful of who you marry, because Ahab took on the ways of Jezebel, and had, all of these idols built to worship Baal and, things like that. And like I said, they went to killing the prophets of God and everything. And they raised Athaliah up in this. Athaliah was their daughter. Athaliah ends up... Excuse me, my mouth is dry. Athaliah, ends up marrying Jehoram. Jehoram is the son of Jehoshaphat, King Jehoshaphat. Okay, so Athaliah has pretty much, and I'm giving y'all the short version, and I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit, but I just wanted to share this with you guys. So Athaliah ends up marrying Jehoram. Jehoram is the son of Jehoshaphat, King Jehoshaphat. So Athaliah actually takes on the ways of her mother, Jezebel, the wickedness, the idol worshiping, the evilness, like I said, you have to be careful with who you marry, because who you marry and who you bring into your life can either help push you into your destiny, or they can pull you away from it. They can help push you into your purpose, or they can pull you away from it. They can push you towards God, or they can pull you away from him. And so you have to be careful and use discernment and be mindful about the people that you bring into your life and into your circle, because the wrong people will actually pull you away from God. And this is just salvation that we're talking about. But Athaliah marries Jehoram. She is so evil. She's just like her mother. She's wicked. So she actually wants the throne. So she talks her husband into killing his brothers. Anybody that would rival him for the throne, anybody that could have access to the throne possibly or whatever. She talks her husband into killing his own brothers so that there is no competition. Her husband ends up dying. Athaliah, in the Hebrew, it's Athaliah. English is Athaliah. But anyway, however you pronounce it, we're talking about the same person, whether you say Athaliah or Athaliah. But Athaliah ends up taking the throne. She's the first and only queen. So Athaliah ends up taking the throne, and outside of her taking the throne, she becomes this evil, even more evil. She is hungry for power. She's thirsty for power. That's the only thing she cares about. She's evil, manipulative, conniving. Is her way or you die. There is no other way. So this woman, the Bible goes on to tell us that this woman is so evil that when her son died and he was actually king, but when her son died, she was so evil, she killed her own grandchildren. She had her own grandchildren killed to make sure that she secured the throne, that the throne belonged to her and her only. But she had her own grandchildren killed so that she could secure the throne, the children of her son, so that she could secure the throne and that there would be no one to rival her. But see, God always has a ram in the bush. God always has a plan. Even when people think that they're coming against you, when people think they're rising up against you, when it looks like they're winning, when it looks like they got it all together, when it looks like their plan is working, and we say, the weapon is going to form, but it ain't going to prosper. And you like, but Lord, this look like it's prospering a little bit. It feel like it's prospering. This look like, it's forming, but this look like it's going somewhere. It looks like that sometimes, and sometimes it feel like that, but God always, always, always will come through for you. Joshua 1:9 says, do not be afraid. He says, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Romans 8:28, all things are working together for the good of those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. But she killed her own grandchildren so she could secure her spot on the throne. But this is the thing. I was like, what kind of grandmama is this? Because she had her grandchildren killed, but there was a high priest, a man of God, a true man of God, who actually, his wife, Jehosheba actually saw that Athaliah was having her grandchildren killed. So Jehosheba actually took Joash, who was one of Athaliah's grandchildren, who was a baby at the time, and hid him away. Hid him away into the temple of God. They knew that Athaliah wasn't going to bother the temple of God, so that's where they hid him. They hid him in the temple, and her husband was the high priest, Jehoiada. So Jehosheba and Jehoiada actually got together and they raised and protected Joash, who was the son of Athaliah. And what kind of grandmother is this? Because she killing all her grandkids, but she didn't even realize that one of them wasn't dead. That means she didn't even know how many she had. She just killing folk. But she like, okay, they gone, so, I'm done. But she didn't even realize that one of her grandchildren survived. So God allowed Jehosheba to take Joash to Jehoiada, who was the high priest, and for 7 years, 6 or 7 years, they raised this baby. And Jehoiada actually went to the other priests and the people of God and said, hey, I've got, the true heir to the kingdom, to the throne, who belongs on the throne. He's 7 years old, and let's protect him. Let's put him to his rightful place or whatever. So they start getting the word out. They get people together. And they actually crown Joash as the king. When Athaliah starts realizing what's happening, she's trying to call treason. She's trying to call treason because she realizes that your gig is up. So it didn't work. And they actually called for Athaliah to be killed. And she was. And Joash took his place on the throne as the rightful king. And I wanted to say this. I had been trying to talk about this for the longest. I had wanted to do Girls Gone God, and I wanted to do the more in-depth version of it for you to be able to get the, context of what I'm saying. People are evil. Some people are evil, very evil. And I wanted to say this. Some of you are looking at family. Some of you are looking at family members, and you are wondering why your family is not as close as you would like it to be. Some of you have been hurt by family. Some of us have family where you feel like family, should be in your corner, have your back no matter what. I should be able to go to family, but sometimes family will tear you down quicker than people in the streets will. Sometimes family is not happy for you. Sometimes family would rather see you stay down in the same place that you've been all of your life or used to be, instead of you watching you change your life for the better. They will root for a stranger before they root for you. They know your struggle. They saw your struggle. They saw you miserable. They saw you unhappy. They saw you trying to make it and just get better. They saw you trying to survive, and they were happy watching you in that place. As long as you were dying on the inside, you were good. But and the moment God comes into your life and he changes things for the better, and the moment God starts moving his hand and working in your life, now you think you're better than everybody. And I remember when you was broke, and I remember when you didn't have, and I remember that. And it's like, well, why does that have to be the memory? Why? It's okay to remember, but I'm not in that place anymore. And why is that a problem? And sometimes it's because other people don't want to do any better, and they're not going to do any better. So instead of them being happy for you, they're going to tear you down and make you feel bad for trying to do something with your life. So sometimes family can be the worst ones, and we have to remember that you have to trust on God. Even Jesus, when he was on the cross and they was telling him, there's your mother, and he said, who is my mother? My mother is the one that does the will of my mother, my sister, my brother is the one who does the will of my Father. So sometimes we have to let go of titles of what people are, because I've said this 1,000 times. There's a difference between being related and being family. And I have a lot of people that I'm related to, but it's not my family. They don't care anything about me. I'm not included in anything. They could care less. I could drop dead right now and they'll be like, oh, she was a nice person. And that's it. And going on about their day. They ain't going to lose a bit of sleep. And that's okay with me. But I wanted to say this. We have to let go of titles, and we have to hold on to God. We have to instill the word into our heart. We have to remember what God promised us. That's why I always say it's so important for us to instill the word and know the word for yourself, because it's going to come days and times when you're not going to have anybody. That sometimes the people closest to you, the best way to kill somebody is to get close to them, because they're the least of the expected. So you have to use discernment, and you have to watch people, and you have to be careful of who you bring into your life and into your circle, and who you call friend, because everybody's not a friend. All smiling faces ain't friendly, just like all closed eyes ain't sleep. We have to stop putting so much faith in titles, and I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of putting so much faith in pastors and leaders, because I've always looked at people and said, this is a person who's preaching about God and teaching about God, and in my mind living a godly lifestyle, and knows the word and knows what God is saying for us to do. So when I see this person, I'm automatically assuming and thinking that this is a person that I can gravitate to, because you've got the same agenda as me, which is I want to see the kingdom built. But some people want to see the kingdom built, but they still have their own demons that they have, and they will point out your demons, but they won't recognize their demons, right? And I'm not going to go on a tangent on that. God bless them. But what I'm saying is, Athaliah was ruthless. Here she is, that everything she touched and everybody she came across, she corrupted to the point of death. Even her own grandchildren, her own family, her own flesh and blood. It didn't matter. And so I want to say to you that you have to have discernment. You have to have the mentality that you're going to go forth in the Lord, whether even if you got to go by yourself. You've got to get into the word. You've got to know what thus saith the Lord. You've got to keep that scotoma with your eyes where you are focused on God, and you're not going to allow anybody to deter you from your walk with God. And everybody is not in the same place with their walk. Some people are taking baby steps. Now, I'm not making excuses because we can't stay on breast milk forever. At some point, we have to graduate. We can't take 10 and 20 years to say, well, God, know my heart, I'm changing. No. You're either going to change or you're not, but don't play with God and don't make excuses. If you're going to walk for God, walk for him. If you're not, then you're not, but you can't straddle the fence, and we can't love him on Sunday and then hate him Monday through Saturday. You've got to make a decision. You've got to choose where are you going to be, and then you got to walk that walk and then deal with whatever consequences that is. That's why he said many people on that day are going to say, Lord, Lord, didn't we do this in your name and cast out demons and we heal the sick in your name? And he gonna say, turn from me, I never knew you. He said, you honor me with your lips, but your heart is far from me. You honor me with your lips. You say you love me. Yeah, you speak Christianese. Yeah, you in church every Sunday. Yeah, you be on Bible study. Yeah, you shout and jump and holler, but your heart nasty. You do sneaky stuff. You undercover. You hug people in church on Sunday and then go have dinner with your family and talk about them like a dog. You're loving on them in church, when they putting money in the basket and all of that. But then you're riding in the car with your husband or your wife and you're laughing at them and talking about them. God see all of that, which means all of your worship was just in vain. You didn't do nothing but get out of the house. You could have went to the movies because it's in vain. So you got to choose what you're going to do. You got to live for him. If you're going to live for him, then live for him. If you're not, then don't. But you have to be mindful of the people that you bring into your life, even if it's family. Even if it's family, which is so sad. But that's the world we live in, unfortunately. Athaliah, daughter of Jezebel and Ahab, married Jehoram, son of Jehoshaphat. Had a son. Son died, was killed. She took the throne, killed her grandchildren. But God. Blessings.